staying in the driver's seat with your mindset. So many times, like the biggest thing I tell people, mindset is everything. Where your mindset goes, that's your steering wheel for your life. So you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. If you could just stay in the driver's seat and keep steering towards your goal, and it's almost like when we drive and you get a flat tire, it's like all hell breaks loose and it's loud and the steering wheel and everything's going around and you're trying to hold it. So it's like that with your mindset. If you could just hold on through the tough times, not only hold on, but grab things and say, kind of like put them in the front seat with you and say, okay, what did I learn from this? What can I take? How can this help me next time I approach a road like this, or I approach a detour, so to speak? How can this help me? So the biggest thing in my coaching in the book that I try to tell people is, number one, your mindset is most important, because where you steer your mindset to is where your life will go. Number two, no matter how bad it gets, stay in the driver's seat, because if you can stay in the driver's seat, you can keep going down the road. You can keep getting towards the goal. But if you just stop and complain about the flat tires, so to speak, you're not going to get nowhere. You're stuck right there.
Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Thank you to Tracy and her team down at Tranquil Turtle Massage in downtown Coeur d'Alene. My wife and I see her and her team every single month for couples massage, and I'm telling you, it is the best thing ever. She specializes in Hanu infusion, Hanu ashiatsu, gua sha, and manual lymphatic drainage. If you need a massage to get you feeling good and relaxed, make sure to reach out to Tracy and her team down at Tranquil Turtle Massage. Also mention that I sent you, and you get $25 off your massage package. Also, check out CDA Brows and Body Ink, where Tracy offers the best tattoo brows and plasma fibroblasting tightening with the first ever Aurora Pro Plasma Tighten machine, not a plasma pen. And don't forget to tell Tracy that I sent you to save $100 on your next tattoo brows or plasma tightening. Jeff, you're a mind fitness coach, entrepreneur, author, and much more, man. I'm so excited for this, dude. Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Eric. Thank you for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Dude, I'd love to kick things off by going back a bit. Like, where did you grow up? What was childhood like for you?
Oh, man. I grew up in Stuart, Florida. So it's
Okay.
like the middle of the state, down by West Palm Beach and all that. But yeah, I grew up there. I traveled a lot when I was 6 in like a motorhome. So I've been to every state but Alaska. So I've had a kind of very busy, active childhood.
Come on, dude. Was that something that you just did during the summer, or like all the time your mom and dad did that?
Well, my grandparents raised me. So
Okay.
at 6, I was kind of having some trouble in school due to some home things. And we just hopped in the motorhome, man. They kind of sold everything, hopped in the motorhome and took off. And which is great, because in the 80s, they loaded us up with all the sugar and the food and stuff. So stick a 6-year-old in a motorhome, it's like sticking a hamster in a shoebox, so.
Yeah.
But it was great, man. I got to see places like Tombstone, the Grand Canyon twice. It was amazing, man. And I got to, which, not to lead into it too fast, but I think that's what helped me in coaching and social media and getting to know people, because it was such like campground, leave. So you're meeting so many people, building that relationship. There's no time for, I'll wait 3 weeks before I say hello. They're gone the next day. So it's very like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? So.
Man, you know what? I went and stayed at KOA campground just a couple weeks back for the first time since I was a kid.
I love KOAs, man.
Right. Yeah. Took my family there, and it was really a hotel in the woods, because we stayed in a higher fancy end cabin that had water and electricity, but
you're big time.
KOA. Right. Yeah. Big time. It was, yeah.
Showing off now, man.
Totally. But I thought about that. I was like, dude, there's so many people that just go do the KOA hop ground, like hopping around all the US, and they meet these people just for a couple of days, and then it's out, man. And I thought, man, I bet that life has just got to be so much fun at times, man. Man, but like you discovered early on that you wanted to be in charge of your financial situation. Like when you started mowing lawns, when you were and washing cars at 11, I did that as well. Yeah. I love that part of my childhood. But who was it that influenced you to go in that entrepreneur direction?
So it started with the cars and the school clothes. Like I said, my grandparents, they did a great job raising me. But when you're in your 50s and 60s and you're getting ready for retirement, you're not expecting to raise a grandchild, and with that comes school clothes, comes food, comes education. School clothes and supplies alone are amazing. So I was like, let me help out, man. What can I do? So I had a lawnmower, and I was like, back in the day, it was, the Jinkos, the Quicksilver, the No Fear, all those big expensive clothes, man. I didn't want to go in the Kmart Franklin shorts. I was like, I'm not wearing these, man. So I
Yeah.
was like, let me go push my lawnmower up and down the street, see who I, knock on some doors way before social media, knock on the original inbox, the front
Right.
door. So knock on some doors, let me see whose grass I can cut. I didn't know how to cut grass the best. I watched my grandpa. I obviously cut a lot of grass, as a kid. So I got better. And it put me out there of dealing with rejection, the reward of getting your own money, and then washing cars, man. Everybody's got a car in the neighborhood and everybody's got grass. So your
Yeah.
opportunity is go up and down the street, work your way from there, and then word of mouth.
Come on. And I mean, I saw you did music. Were you like
Yeah.
the performer of music, or were you like on the
Battle
behind the
rapper.
scene?
Battle
Come
rapper.
on.
So I was
Come
a battle
on.
rapper, man. Yeah. So it's the entrepreneur thing. Like I said, it started when I was 11, and I was like, the crazy thing is, my grandpa worked all the time. So a lot of the time, and my grandma, was at home, but a lot of the time I was figuring stuff out, man. I was like, they did a great job, but we didn't have all the money in the world. So I had to figure a lot of stuff out. So I spent a lot of time thinking. And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, once I did the grass, I was like, I had a lawnmower. What did I have? I washed cars. I had a bucket. I had soap. What did I have? When I got into the music industry, I had a Sony Acid Pro program.
Okay.
I had Fruit Loops and I had a laptop. And before Hustle and Flow, I took the old school, remember the milk crate things under the mattress, the little egg thing? So I
Yeah.
took that, wrapped it around a closet, I couldn't afford a filter for my mic. So what I did was cut a container, like a Cool Whip container, put the wave cap over it. That was my filter. And I saved up for a mic. And I did that by myself. So everything I learned, like I said, it started once you go to become an entrepreneur, you don't let the cash flow stop you. It's like the greatest program of figure it out.
Yes.
And that's what I did, man. So I got in like battle rap contests. I would go to clubs. I would sell my mixtapes out of the trunk. I would go to outlet malls. I just studied the people before me, like Rockefeller, Dame Dash, like Master P. That's what I did with everything. It was Donald Trump. It was Russell Simmons. It was Master P. It was Dame Dash. It was, it was all these people that like they laid some kind of blueprint for you to pick from. Go look and go figure it out.
Come on. The very first CD I ever got was Arrested Development.
No.
And huge fan of those guys, right?
Yeah.
And when I became a podcaster, I somehow his personal account showed up on my feed on Instagram, and I reached out to him and I had him on my show. And it was the Speech, the lead singer from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
And I was like mind blown. Like, I'm like, dude, you were the first CD I ever I was like almost starstruck, like, just fanboying over him,
I would have been like, here, sign it. I would have held it up and sent it to him, man. That would have been awesome, man. Yeah.
It was so much fun, dude. But you wrote this book called 7 Secrets You Should Tell Yourself to Live in True Freedom. What do you cover in this book? And of those 7 secrets, which one is your favorite?
My favorite is staying in the driver's seat. Staying in the driver's seat with your mindset. So many times, like the biggest thing I tell people, mindset is everything. Where your mindset goes, that's your steering wheel for your life. So you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. If you could just stay in the driver's seat and keep steering towards your goal, and it's almost like when we drive and you get a flat tire, it's like, oh, hell breaks loose and it's loud and the steering wheel and everything's going around and you're trying to hold it. So it's like that with your mindset. If you could just hold on through the tough times, not only hold on, but grab things and say, kind of like put them in the front seat with you and say, okay, what did I learn from this? What can I take? How can this help me next time I approach a road like this, or I approach a detour, so to speak? How can this help me? So the biggest thing in my coaching in the book that I try to tell people is, number one, your mindset is most important, because where you steer your mindset to is where your life will go. Number two, no matter how bad it gets, stay in the driver's seat, because if you can stay in the driver's seat, you can keep going down the road. You can keep getting towards the goal. But if you just stop and complain about the flat tires, so to speak, you're not going to get nowhere. You're stuck right there.
Man, that's so good, dude.
Yeah.
I love that, man. That's
Thanks,
awesome,
man.
dude. Now, you and I, we had a conversation a couple weeks back around Instagram strategy. I was having an issue. I got locked out of Instagram. And but
Instagram issues? No way.
Yeah, right. It never happens. Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Look, I wanted to tell you about a company I've been working with. They are amazing. If you are a podcaster, a motivational speaker, or a podcast host, and you're absolutely crushing it, You need to be featured in Newswire Magazine. Newswire Magazine is a cutting-edge business publication that shares stories of entrepreneurs, business leaders, and other high achievers who are crushing it in life and in business. It's the preeminent publication for entrepreneurs who are making a tremendous impact. Every article is seen by thousands of readers daily, so being featured in the magazine is a massive personal branding opportunity. Not only will you get massive traffic and SEO benefit from being featured in Newswire Magazine, but you'll also get instant credibility and authority. See if you qualify to be featured in Newswire Magazine today. You seem to have it pretty dialed in on Instagram. Just in the conversation that I had, I learned a ton and figured out some new strategies there. But what are people not doing on Instagram that they need to be doing to grow in their brand?
They're paying attention to followers and likes, and they're not realizing that some of the followers could be bots, and you can't spend the likes at the store. You can't spend the likes on your electricity bill, and you can't spend the likes basically for anything else. So I feel that they're not understanding two major things. One is algorithm, and two is the grouping that Instagram does for your target market. With
Gotcha.
hashtags, with groups, with, okay, well, like, Jeff's a coach, Erik's a coach. So I just found two coaches looking for one person. So it's like back in the day, we had a buy one, get one free sale. So it's right there. It's 1, 2 in your target market. They're getting too focused on like high school prom queen, high school king of, oh, how popular am I? If you're in business, it's not about how popular you are. It's what you're doing to grow your business and your brand.
Yeah. And is there a hashtag like strategy? Like, is there a number of hashtags that people need to be using?
Yeah, sure. So, you get 30 hashtags, but basically there's an 80-20 rule where you want to get 80% smaller hashtags. Like if you're looking for entrepreneurs and you put in hashtag entrepreneur, and hashtags do two things. They cover what your post is about and they cover who you're talking to. So if you're a coach and you're talking to entrepreneurs and you put hashtag entrepreneur, there's about, I think, 97.8 million, give or take. It's probably growing now. 97.8 million posts about using the hashtag entrepreneur. And as you know, hashtags are the real estate. So you would say, okay, well, if I put, what else can this go into? Okay, hashtag entrepreneur mindset. So now you just dropped down to 1.9 million. So you eliminated 96.5 million other things. So you want to do an 80-20 rule of 80% lower number hashtags and 20% your higher number hashtags. So you're kind of thrown into Times Square, so to speak.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that makes sense there.
Yeah.
Now you talk about being a mind fitness coach, and we hear fitness coach and we hear mindset coach, but I've never heard the combination of, and I don't think many people know what that is, but what is it that you do? What is a mind fitness coach?
So mind fitness coach, how I tell people, it's basically how your mind runs. Whether you're trying to be a bodybuilder, whether you're trying to be a top real estate agent, whether you're trying to be a top coach, it's all how your mind runs, because how you set your mind up is how you're going to run down your course. So I work on mindset, and I also do some fitness tips, and have like a fitness business with products. So it kind of put everything together. And I was like, damn, it is kind of like the way you set your mind up is how your mind will run. So I was just like, everybody here's mindset coach, or I'm a life coach, or this or that. And everything's blank coach. So I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. I feel like it separates myself, and I feel like it speaks to my audience and who I am.
Yeah.
So
what does legacy mean to you? What does Jeff want to be remembered as?
Made a difference to the world. I took my relationship with Jesus Christ and my life that Jesus Christ gave me, and I did something with it. I impacted the world because I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, and I'm not complaining about that. I'm not being a victim, but what I'm saying is I think God brought me through it, and through his grace and his glory. And also I've found personal development. I feel like it's my responsibility to leave the world better than I found it, and to leave them with tools. Everybody says I want to leave the world better than when I found it. I want to leave them with step-by-step simplistic tools to say, even if you're at rock bottom, you don't have to stay there. Here's how you can get out.
Yeah. I gave my life to Christ in my early 20s. And it was really just after 10 years of destruction of, drug addiction and bankrupt and jail and all that craziness. But I think if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. For you, what was it that prompted you to give your life to Christ? When did you do that?
I did it at 15 years old at a Josh McDowell concert.
Okay.
So, and what it was is I was raised Catholic, but, because I'm Italian, so you're kind of like kicked into Catholic. You're like, you're in there, buddy. 4 o'clock. You're in mass. You're in school. You're in the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. You're in there. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like the mafia, like you're in Catholic church, which I love Catholic church, but I felt like I was missing something in my life. And I dealt with a lot of, I was born in 83. So raised by grandparents was kind of coming out of that crack era of 83 and what drugs did to so many families. But there was still this gap of maybe there was 10% of people that were living with grandparents or aunts or uncles. So it was still looked at as stigmatism, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you
Yeah.
with your grandparents? So I grew up a lot of bullying, a lot of, like I said, my grandparents did great, but we just didn't have it. So it was a lot of free lunch, a lot of growing up in the flea markets,
Mm.
every weekend selling stuff to make income. That's another place I found entrepreneur. So it was like going through the battle and almost like you're a warrior and you don't realize you're bleeding a lot until the adrenaline comes down when
Mm.
you come off the battlefield and the wounds you have. And at 15, when you come out of the 80s, you're forced to grow up quick. And when
Yeah.
I kind of just stopped and chilled, I had this moment of like 14 to 15 where I just kind of stopped and chilled. And I did a lot of reflecting and I'm like, I feel like something's missing. I feel like I'm tired from carrying all this weight and I need help carrying it. And when Josh McDowell was talking about Christ and about, how God loves you, and when you're around so much rejection in your life, love almost scares you. So when you're kind of explained about real love, what real love is, and what Christ gave up for you, giving His life and giving His Son, I was like, man, I need that and I want that, and that just hit me at the right moment. And it's all about God's timing,
Mm.
And it just hit me at the right moment where I was like, I need this, and I continue to grow with it every day. Thank God.
Come on. Absolutely,
Yeah.
man.
So,
Now, you're part of this awesome group of men called ManUp Tribe Board of
yes.
Directors, man, with some of mutual
Yes.
friends of ours, man.
Yes.
How did this group come together, and what is the purpose of this group, man?
So it came together, the genius, the mad scientist, so to speak, Brian Ward, with that up. He's, man, that guy is amazing. He's a former
He is.
Marine. He's a man of God. And what he did was he was like, I want to be better. So what he did was he put like this super group together of accountability. And, it's all these people in the group. It's Matt, it's Jeff, it's Dr. Vibe, it's, all these people. It's Shay, it's Ron. And, he put them all together and we meet and we talk about, how can Brian get better? And in that, with Christopher, with everybody, it forces all of us to look in the mirror. So it's
Yeah.
like some super group of, men leaning on each other. And before social media, men were competitive. You can go back to caveman days, men were competitive. So when you
Yeah.
have men of God, when you have, entrepreneurs, when you have men that can lean on each other and build each other, and you can say to a man, I know I'm supposed to be strong, but I'm struggling. When you can do that, you create this super group and you put this energy inside of each other that's just like amazing. Not only does Brian benefit, but we all do. So that's kind of where it came from. And because it's an amazing group of entrepreneurs, strong men, I'm just so blessed and honored to be part of that group.
I love that, man. I think it's so important
Yeah.
for men to get together and go through that and talk about their struggles, man. I've been part of a 1 year mentorship group with some 7 other guys from my church this year. And we've met every 6 weeks. We just went down to McCall, Idaho, hung out in the cabin, went fishing, and, just got to deep dive more into that, man. Like, where are we struggling? Where can we be better as men, as husbands, as dads, as with our walks in Christ, man. And it's so good to have that accountability and just other men pouring into our life, man. It was a goal of mine to read more books this year than I ever have. And I think I'm definitely on pace. I think I've read about 18 books this year. But for you, what's that book that had the biggest impact on you?
Relentless. Relentless and
Mm,
winning. That's my biggest mentor is Tim Grover. And he's another level. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And when I read Relentless, it made me say, one, I'm not crazy, because a lot of times when you go through so much in life and you don't play the victim and you solve that problem, you say, I'm not the victim. If you're not careful, the people around you that may not have been able to handle those circumstances will tell you, oh, it's so great that you're out of jail, or it's so great that you're not on drugs, or it's so great that you've held the same job for 15 years. They don't expect much of you. When I
Mm,
was like, I always want to do better. I mean, it started at 11 with the grass, with the cars, then with this music. I was like, I always want to do better. When I read the book, I was like, I'm not crazy. And there's somebody that gets me, and there's somebody that can lead it. So when I read Relentless and then followed by Winning, I was just like, oh, I found it. This is amazing.
Tim Grover is such a great guy, and I've never met him, but I've just followed him for a long time, man. But you've met him a couple of times. What is he like in person?
He is the most, first off, he is what he says he is. He's real, he's humble, he's loving. He's just, I can't, he's like your best friend. Like when I met him, it's like we were best friends, and I was so honored by it because to sit at the table with your biggest mentor, it kind of blows you away, but you're kind of so thankful for it. But he was, I mean, he could have been like, I mean, you know, he's been in the room. He's trained Jordan for 15 years, Kobe,
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade, like, you know, all these people. He could have been like, oh, I'm better than anybody, you know, and he's not. He's like your uncle or your next door neighbor. You're like, wait a minute, this is Tim Grover. But because he's secure in who he is.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to
Yeah.
prove anything to anybody. So in that, he's confident, but his ego is just, he's so humble and nice, and he's just, I'm so blessed to have him in my life, man, on any level. So
Come on, man, that's so good, dude. Now, I noticed on Instagram, you've posted some pictures with like Hulk Hogan and some other wrestlers. Seems like you're a wrestling fan. What's a favorite wrestler for you?
you can change fan to obsessed, man.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm like
Come on.
I literally, if I had tights, I'd be shopping in Walmart with wrestling tights on, man. I'm
Come
obsessed
on.
with it, man. But yeah, so Hulk Hogan, definitely the Four Horsemen, The Rock. I'm just like obsessed with wrestling because if you look at that from entrepreneurs, like they had to pay their dues. A lot of them got paid $25 a match. Before they made millions of dollars, they didn't get paid enough for gas money, and they were eating tuna fish and
Yeah.
8 of them in a car, and they had to master their craft. They had to learn to get better. They had to be out there in the public speaking. They had to wrestle. They had to call. They had to get up out of bed when they just got backdropped off a steel cage. So it's just like wrestling and life mirrors each other so much that I don't think people see it, and I learn from it. And it's like a free education on videotape or DVD every time I watch it. I'm obsessed with the psychology and everything you can learn from wrestling. Plus,
Dude,
I'd love to chop people from time to time, like Flair.
You got to do that, man. You got to do the Flair chop, dude. I grew up, my dad always took me to watch the local wrestling event that would come into town. And I mean, it was like the early startup when, I mean, Jake the Snake came through and
the territories, man. That was the territory days.
Yeah, and Dusty Rhodes came through, man. And you know, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but like midget wrestling was my absolute favorite to watch.
It was big time back then, man.
Yeah, and it was so good to watch that stuff. And my dad took me to see, you know, WWF events when it was WWF, and you know, and got to see the Honky Tonk Man, and I mean Legion of Doom, man, and Mr.
I met Animal.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yeah. He was amazing, man. And
so good.
I told him I tried to take off with his shoulder pads, but I couldn't move. Those things are so, with the spikes. I had the ones with the spikes. I was like, bro, I love these so much, and like I love you and everything, but I would try to like run off with these, but I wouldn't even get, you know, like 10 feet. They're so heavy. How did you carry these? Like they are. It's like having like 45-pound plates on your shoulders, bro.
So when I was in my early 20s, I lived out in Seattle, and I worked with this guy at this business corporate job, and I needed a room to stay. And so he said, hey, dude, I got a room in my house. You can come live with me. So I move in with this guy, and I'm renting a room, and we had another roommate. And turns out that this guy's a wrestler. And so this is the funniest thing ever, dude.
What's his address?
So turns out this dude's a wrestler, and he's been wrestling in this promotion out in the Seattle area where I lived at. Mm-hmm. And his name was Mr. Sexy. And he had the booty shorts, man, the TDS down the ass, and it stood for too damn sexy.
Yeah.
And so literally one time in our backyard, they brought the ring to the backyard. They were training in my backyard, and they were doing, Royal Rumble, like craziness. I was like, this is unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
The neighbors called the police though, because it was so loud when they were hitting the ring. So the cops came and they made them take it down after a day. But it was like, for one day I had Royal Rumble in my backyard, dude.
That'd been like the greatest day ever, man.
But here's the thing. He worked for this promotion that all the guys were from Canada. And so he's like, Erik, I need you to come watch this event. So I get there, and their guy who runs the music doesn't show up that night. And they go, Erik, can you run the music, like the walkout music for the guys? I'm like, sure, I guess. I've never done it before. Yeah. So this is old school. So you got dual CD players, right? And track 1, and I've got this list of the wrestlers when they come out. Okay, play track 12 on this disc when they come out. Yeah. So my buddy was injured. He was a guest referee on the night. So he comes walking out, and as he's walking out, I'm looking, okay, track 11. So I put in track 11, and I start playing it, and I'm not even thinking about the music, but it starts playing Blame Canada while he's walking out to the ring. And these are
Oh,
all
man.
Canadian people, right? And I'm just
What
thinking, oh,
heat,
dude, this
what heat
is
you're getting.
and he looks at me and he's like going like this. And I'm like, what the hell's happening, man? I'm going off the track. Well, what happened was I forgot to change the CD from the other wrestler.
Oh,
I never got
man.
invited to do music again. I don't know why.
Oh, man, that is the best. Surprised you get a chair shot.
Oh, dude, it was wild, man. So much fun.
That is hilarious. But that is wrestling. But that's what I love about wrestling too, man. Because even when you're watching them call, when you're watching them do moves, like
Yeah.
it's live, man. They mess up. Like you're gonna mess up. There's sweaty people trying to slam each other. There's people coming out. There's so much going on. You're trying to keep kayfabe. Like you being new, you're like, all right, I just got to play track 11. But did you see how fast the audience changed?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and he's like, bro, you're messing up my career. And you're like, that is classic, man.
I made a quick recovery, so it almost sounded like it was his walkout music as the guest ref, and I was able to get it back. But there was about 10 seconds where I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening now?
The original Montreal screw job before
right.
Bret Hart, man. That's
totally. And one of the guys on the night, he was making a return as a new character, and he came back as the chef, is what his name was.
Yeah.
So he had this like pan, and he went out and he went to hit a dude with it, and the dude took it and reversed it on him and hit him in the head. But he was supposed to stop. He didn't. Instant hematoma, dude, right on the dude's forehead.
Oh,
it was wild.
Man. Yeah. Bro, it's crazy. Like when they mess up moves, how it's like you don't put your hand up, which is crazy anyway, because you're trying to call it and you can't hear people and you're getting up and you're confused and you're like, bam, you just don't put your hand up for 1 second. And it's, that looked like a real chair shot. That's because it was.
Yeah, totally.
Don't try this at the office.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was fun. And I like to bring that up to my buddy because I'm still friends with him today, man. Hey, what's up, Mr. Sexy? So it's fun.
Every time he called, I would play music.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm a big music guy, and I think maybe I already know this now, but like what type of music do you like to listen to? What's your favorite band that you like to listen to?
I love that. Well, of course, rap music, but I'm obsessed with the 80s, man. Guns.
Okay.
So my playlist will blow people out of the water. It'll go from like the Animals to Jimi Hendrix to Guns N' Roses to the Bangles to Garth Brooks to Reba to like Outkast to the Jadakiss to Biggie Smalls. Like sometimes I think Pandora's like, I give up, you try. Like it's just I just love music and I love a great song. But because I did music, I respect and I know what it took to write those lyrics and what they're trying to say. So when a song hits me, my one friend's an opera singer. Like it can be, opera, it can be anything. I love great music and trying to figure out what were they trying to say with this song.
Yeah, man, I love it, dude. Jeff, you're an absolute world changer, man. Such an honor to have you on my show, man. I love what you got going on, and I'm excited to see what's coming up next for you. Thank you so much for your time, man. I truly, truly appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me. And again, I'm very honored to know you and grow with you. And thank you for everything you do with your show, man. I've seen what you put out, the guests. I've seen your post every day. Congratulations with everything you've done with the John C. Maxwell, coaching. You're doing amazing, man. You're really a man of God and you're a great entrepreneur and you're really changing the world too. And I'm very honored to be on your show and I'm honored to know you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to take a listen or a watch. It's truly an honor to be able to speak with such amazing guests. And I hope that they've made an impact on your life in some way, shape, or form. And you could do me one big favor. That would be huge. Click that subscribe button, and then second favor, hit that share button. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate you. Keep changing the world. I believe in you.